Hey guys, it's Gauntlet, and welcome to GRM as usual. And yeah, so today I just kind of want to give you a quick update. Number one, I am tired. Work stuff, wife had to change jobs, went through two nor'easters here, so doing a lot of shoveling and shit. And yeah, so been a little distracted, haven't put in as much into GRM as I would have liked. So I would have hoped to have actually gotten this released to you towards the beginning of the month. Looks like it'll be the middle of the month, or maybe the end. Who knows? So what have we been working on? Well, number one, mercenaries. I'm trying to redo the file structure of the mercenaries significantly, and that is taking a long ass time. The mercenary files are ridiculously complicated. Basically, there's the custom mercenary components, the custom mercenary ship files, the custom mercenary blueprint file, and the custom mercenary def file. And they all need to match, and they all list mercenary components and ships by a number and not their name in game, which is really confusing. So I'm cleaning all that shit up and making sure everything matches. But why? So I can reorganize the bazaar mostly. And this is pretty close. This doing what I want it to do. Basically, I'm splitting every tier of mercenaries, there's three, into surveyors, civilians, and combat. So, technically, I have created 9 tiers with a 10th special one. But because there's tier 1 surveyor, tier 1 civilian, tier 1 combat. And right now I have them listed tier 1, 2, and 3 surveyors, tier 1, 2, 3 civilians, tier 1, 2, 3 combat. So it really, for me, it's helping me like figure out, okay, where are my surveyors? I just want to hire a surveyor. All right, easy enough to find. I might actually start labeling the little icons here. We'll see. But as you can see right here, here are the tier 1, tier 1, tier 1, all these different surveyors. And yeah, there are no tier 2 surveyors at the moment. So as soon as the surveyors are done, we move into civilian ships starting right around here. Like I said, I need some way to visually show that, I think. But I'm working on it. All right, anyways. So now you have civilians, 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 civilians. Okay, there we go. A tier 2 civilian ship in gray because I haven't reached tier 2. Then eventually in here, there will be tier 3 civilians. And then, oh look, we're starting to have combat ships and stuff that I can afford because we've hit tier 1 combat stuff down here. And then it'll be tier 2 combat stuff and tier 3 combat stuff. And then I did say there was a special 10th tier. That's this final one here. You guys actually have that. I released it by accident. These are called, what did I call them? Hired help. And the idea is they're more generic types of just very normal ships you can hire. And yeah, there's no freebies. They're cheap, but they are normal ships. They're nothing really all that special. And in the current version, I've actually locked this to particular race traits. I think entrepreneurs, discreet, a couple scavengers, a couple others. Right now I'm not playing as any of those, so this will remain locked to me. I will never be able to hire these mercenaries, which is a really interesting concept because we could totally have something where like there's a particular trait and certain mercenaries just won't work for you because you're that trait. I think that's a pretty cool idea, so I'm working on that. In terms of stats with mercenaries, you'll notice that a ton of these have no resource costs. In fact, for the time being, I'm probably going to take out all resource costs, just a clean slate, and then I'm going to add resources back in, and my goal is to use rarer resources. Generally speaking, 4 thulium and 2 Illyrium for something is just pathetic. Who gives a shit? You often have hundreds of these resources. So the original intent here was nice, but they changed the resource mechanic. It is now ridiculous to even pretend that these cost you a resource. But if they start costing you a mixture of hypersilicates, nanites, and tectopod hives, whatever those are, that might start being a problem. That actually might make these difficult to afford. You might actually have to wheel and deal with your neighbors to get the right resource, because those are still quite difficult to store up, especially if I make them cost a lot of them. So yeah, the other advantage to this tier system isn't just so that it's organized the way I want. The other advantage is I can set the weighting differently and the numbers differently. I could say there will only be one tier 1 surveyor available. I won't, because that'd be awful. But I could do that. And I could say, well, I think you should have like plenty of combat ships available, but not very many of the civilian ships, because the civilian ships are frankly more powerful. So that's a cool idea. So getting rid of resource costs for now. Gonna change the resource costs to make more sense and be a little harder to get. And also, I've mostly standardized the equipment on a lot of mercenary ships, at least for the engines, so that they can keep up with what the player really wants. And then I'm really just trying to make these ships kind of cooler and a bit more standardized. One of the cool things I've done with tier 1 surveyors is there's at least 3, one of which is fast and produces, I guess is the wrong one. But at any rate, one of them produces influence every time you hit an anomaly. One of them produces credits every time you hit an anomaly. And one of them produces research every time you hit an anomaly. This is the research guy right here. And that's actually a new mercenary that you don't generally have right now. So yeah. And, it's a lot of work converting this. Once it's done, I'll have a lot of fun adding just a lot more mercenaries. I'm hoping to eventually nearly double the amount of mercs, but we'll see. All right, so that is that with mercenaries. That's the bulk of where the time is going. In the meantime, I just can't look at the notepad files all day. So in my not so free time, I have just been doing some shoring up work, if you will, with different races. And come on. It amazes me how long it takes to just quit a game of Galactic Civ. Like, how hard is it to just turn off? Anyways. Okay, new game. Basically, every race is getting a lot more race portraits, and you will notice some new races. Now, these new races are a cheat. They don't have their own ship sets, I'm sorry. One thing I'm doing is taking the minor races I've had and turning them into major races, because basically nobody uses minor races. And I do want them to be in the game, and basically put them in your game, and, well, if it were me, I'd load them up on a lower difficulty than my major factions, and then they'd kind of act like minor factions. So like the Baroldga here is a minor race, typically, but you can see they're using the Toth ship set, but with different appearances and everything. And they're fully fleshed out with all their little stuff. And then where do we go? Let's see, portraits. Yeah, man, almost there. My portraits, there we go. And you can see they have a bunch of citizen portraits. Not a ton for this one. That being said, and some just don't have a ton. But I'm fleshing out all of them so that they can have at least 6 is my goal. I think, yeah, 6. Because the editor actually shows it in rows of 6. Yep, see, there we go. Here's one I need to add a few more to, actually. So, yeah, not all of them are going to be that creative, but it's a lot of them. When you add up all the portraits I'm adding, it's a lot. It's a lot of recolors. I've pretty much added to every race. So, yeah, some new factions coming in here. More citizen portraits. Oh, and I'm going through and adding custom name lists. I'm trying to do everybody. So yeah, nothing super sexy. The Merc thing is what it is. It'll be a good groundwork, and hopefully they don't completely fuck it up when they release Intrigue. and screw me over. That would be nice. But we'll see. I'm excited about Intrigue. We'll see how that is. And yeah, hope to get you a nice shiny release with some cleanup. Oh, and it's fixing some bugs and, stuff like that. Hoping to get that to you later this month. And then, well, assuming Intrigue hasn't come out, I'll actually get back to building some ships for you. All right. Thanks, guys.